Hello there. I picked up this razor a week or two ago, really cheap, at a local antique store. I don't know if you can read it or not. It's a Shumate 30. It looks like to be about a 5/8. It's in pretty good condition. There's a bit of pitting right here. The blade is a thin, hollow, nice hollow ground. So I could just polish this up with some polish, and this blade would work out really. It would be beautiful. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do though is I'm going to try to take some of that pitting out, but I can't do a whole lot with it because the blade is so thin. So I have to be really careful. So I'm going to start out with something like, if I can find it, I just had it. I hate that. All right. Some 800 grit. And if you restore razors or do anything that requires sandpaper, a plastic baggie full of what you've already used will come in handy. Don't throw sandpaper away until it's completely trashed beyond use. You always are going to need some somewhere. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to sand on the shank. Metal polish, Mother's, will bring that out nice and clean. There's hardly any rust on this blade. Also, I can look in the pivot pin and see that there's not any rust that I can. It's really clean right there at the pivot. So I'm not gonna, let me widen this camera a bit, drop the magnification down. I'm not gonna take this apart because the scales have very tiny pin heads on them, and I like these scales. I don't want to break them or drill the hole out bigger because I have to use a hand drill, that kind of thing. So we're gonna, I'm gonna keep it just like it is. I'm pretty well satisfied there's not any or very little corrosion in that pivot. So what I'm going to do, if I can, if the camera will let me, so I'm going to come down to here, and what you want to do, and I did it once, but I'm going to do it again. This is my Williams that I always keep here by the counter, and I'm just going to, it doesn't matter whether it's sharp or dull. When you get this razor, you want to make sure anytime you're restoring that you do that right there, and you keep an eye on this edge, particularly with a hollow ground blade, because just using a bit of sandpaper on that can sharpen that edge enough to open your fingers up, and you will not be happy. But I'm just gonna start with this 800 and see where it takes me as far as that pitting goes. And this is all we're doing. We're just smoothing things out. That's it. Okay, so that's not really doing a thing. So I'm going to back down. I'm going to go down to, actually I'm not fooling around. I'm going to go down to 320. I could go to 600 and 400 and eventually end up working my way down to 320, but it really doesn't. You know, I'm just not into I know that I've got to go deeper, and so I'm just going to go down to 320 now. Probably what's going to happen when I look at this, if you look, see that pitting? It's not really going away all that easily. So I'm going to work it just a little bit, and be careful. This is a thin blade. I'm doing it right here at the sink. Believe it or not, you can do what you want. You can believe what you want. But I'm telling you from experience. A thin blade like this, you can get hot enough just doing what I'm doing right now to not really want to touch that blade at all. And if you get that, in my opinion, if a blade is getting too hot to handle, then what you're doing is you're in danger. I'm going to wet this because it's wet and dry. You're in danger of damaging the temper in that blade. Now you can say, oh, you can't damage that temper by hand work. Well, maybe not. I don't know. But I'm not looking to find out the hard way. And I am going to do just a tiny bit on the shank, just to make it all we're doing is just trying to clean it up so that it is as nice as we can get it. Look on things like the monkey tail. Sometimes there'll be little numbers and stuff like that. A lot of times they won't make any difference at all. But there are a lot of times in those little numbers if the razor is real popular, if it's a real popular brand and people have researched it and know a lot about it, you'll find out that sometimes that number, and what I'm going to do, that number make a difference. What I'm going to do, believe it or not, is I'm going to go down even further. To do that, I have to dig through my little pack of stuff. I've got a couple of them here, but I'm looking for like some 120, something like that, something that I excuse me. 120 used sandpaper, doesn't matter. We're not building Tiffany furniture or anything of the sort. We're just trying to straighten out a straight razor and make it serviceable and make it look halfway decent. And I'm just trying to get as much of that off of there as possible. I know that I won't get it all. That's not going to happen. Or I'm pretty sure that I won't get it all. I don't want to end up damaging this blade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move down to the counter. So stand by. Alright, we're down here now, and this is cable for my camera and my laptop and all of that. But I want to sit it down here because I want to work on this section a bit. And what I'm doing basically is I'm taking a chance that I'll sand through this razor. I don't recommend it unless you know what you're doing. I've done several restores, and I am counting on that experience to tell me when this razor, and you see I'm stopping, feeling the metal to make sure it's not getting too hot. But I'm counting on my prior experience as a restorer to let me know if I'm getting the blade too thin. And it's coming, but I'm going to see if I have anything even heavier. Stand by. Alright, I'm back. I have actually some 60 grit. Now using this, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to come back up through the grits to get rid of these scratches. That's a part of the deal. There's not a lot I can do to fix that. But I laid it on its edge here because wrapping that sandpaper over the spine, that's alright with a lighter grit. But when you start getting into heavier grits, the last thing that you want to do is wrap it over the spine and grind away on that spine with sandpaper, with heavy grit sandpaper. You want to keep the geometry of the razor as much as possible. And I'm just trying to take as much of that out as I can. There's some really deep right here. That ain't going to come out all the way, I don't believe. Let's just see what it'll do. Need some water on that blade. Now if it doesn't get hot enough to warrant that, then don't worry about it. But you do want to keep an eye on it. Some blades, if the steel is thicker, you won't have that kind of problem with. But with a thin ground blade like this, I'd rather be safe. Alright, now, that's all I'm going to get. If you look, trying to turn it where you can see it, that pitting will remain in the blade. There isn't a thing I can do about that. So we're going to go back to the 120 now. We're just going to sand out. What I'm going to do, this cloth is grabbing. You can see it's grabbing my sandpaper, so I'm going to set it on that to avoid that issue. And what I'm doing now is just sanding those 6-degree scratches out of this blade. I'm comfortable now, satisfied that I brought the pitting down as far as I really realistically can take it. So now it's cleanup time. That's 120. $320. You could do 220. I have 220, but it's not going to be that difficult to go right to this 320 from 220 or 120. The 320 will take care of it. A little bit of water on my wet dry. Now there are guys that'll sand this way and then they'll sand that way, and I've done that as well. I have found that if you are diligent to make sure that you've got the scratches out on the previous sandpaper, it'll make a dime's worth of difference. You are more able to see those different scratches if you do it, across the other pattern of scratches, that kind of deal. But if you're diligent, it doesn't really matter as long as you get those scratches clean. That's what we're doing here. But I believe that we'll do it for 320 on this side, but what I want to do is now I want to flip it over, and I just as well polish both sides while I'm at it. Now this is real time, as much as I can. Now I might edit it a little bit, I don't know. We have some relatives coming by that live a ways away, and they don't come by that often, and so when wifey says to me, hey, they're here, I'll be stopping the videotape or the video recording or what the heck ever you want to call it. Now we've been sanding, and that feels good and dull, but that don't mean it is. So looky. We're gonna do some more of that just because I love my fingers. They are special to me, and I want to keep them. That kind of deal. So. And let's see if I can get closer in. For you. Now I'm standing a little bit on this edge because there's some micro pitting. It's not right at the edge, but it's about a 1/16 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch above that edge. And I just want to make that go away if I can. That's beautiful. Now, if I wanted to, if I really, really wanted to, that looks wonderful right there. I could stop right there. Take some mothers and polish the snot out of that, and it would be beautiful just like that. But I'm going up a bit more. I'm going to run through, and what I want to do, this right here you want to be careful of. You want to get rid of any of those trademarks, stamps, whatever it is that you personally want to call them. I just thought I would hit it. Okay, come over here and look for something more. I believe I have some 600s somewhere. Here we go. Put some water on that. It's a wet dry. And as you get to the finer and finer grits, you won't have to spend as much time on each grit in order to accomplish the job. I'm going to go to 800 now. One of the things you want to do, this area right in here, where the shoulder meets, you will miss that area. The sandpaper will slide up over top of the shoulder part here, and you'll miss that part of the hollow. So you want to kind of give extra attention to that. It doesn't take much, but under each grit, you want to kind of give extra attention to that. And that's enough on that. Let's try this side. Once again, extra attention right there. And then your finger will fit that hollow real well. And I use it like this a lot too. It's just you'll wear your fingers clean out, and taking different positions really does help. And now I'll work the monkey tail separate. Okay, there's 800. Coming to 1,000. Once you get to this stage, you really don't have to spend a lot of time. Yeah. 1,500. 1,500. Flip the blade over. I don't know if you can see that I did that or not. I haven't done a lot of work on the spine because I can pretty much tell you that I can take this 1500 and do that kind of stuff to it, and once I begin to polish, well, you didn't see that, but I can take this 1500 along the spine here. The spine is really clean. See, that's why. See how my hand slipped under there? That's why I keep dulling that edge on that piece of glass, because trust me, from experience, that's happened when I didn't do that, and it's not a pretty thing. So, which means I'm going to go over here and dull it again here in a minute. But anyway, I could do just that. Let me get this wet again. And when I start polishing this with polishing compound, it'll match the rest of the blade. It'll be beautiful. But, I mean, some of them you can't. I just know the condition. You can look at what you have to do if you're going to restore things, especially right now, particularly we're talking about straight razors. You have to get good at evaluating that blade. 2000 grit. And I know that this blade is in really good shape. Corrosion wise, yes, it has this pitting here, but there wasn't a lot of active rust. There wasn't any active rust on this blade whatsoever. The pitting is part of its life. It's not something that I'm really stressing over. I just wanted to get as much of it off as I could because I could. That kind of deal. That's 2000. And because I have it laying around, 2500. And you see, it's not, I don't have to spend a lot of time on this 2500. Because I spent time on the low grits, and as I moved up, I didn't have to. Now, depending on what you want, you know, if you're looking for a mirror polish, I don't know if I can show it to you. I have almost got that. Just from that. Now what I could do next is just hit that with polish. It would be beautiful just like that. But if I can find it, stand by a minute. I have some 3-micron lapping film. So while I have it, what's it going to hurt? Some more water on that. And 1 micron. Beautiful. I can already see the shine on that. Just go up a huge couple of notches. And clean that off a bit. That's gorgeous right there. I could just do that. Would not have to polish that blade in any way, shape, or form, but let me come back here and we'll talk. All right, I'm back. And you can see lovely. Now you'll see that it's not quite as shiny when you get to here. The polish will probably take care of that. If it doesn't, it's not a big deal. There's a lot of times some discoloration right there, no matter, even if you take the pins out. But I could do that right there, hone that up, and it would be just fine. But what I want to do, I want to go with the polishing compound because it will just make the blade smoother looking and more defined, the reflection in it and all that. But also because I want to hit these scales with the polishing compound, shine them up and clean them up a bit. They have little tiny scratches in them. The mothers will probably take most of that out. I could take that this and probably take them out no problem. But I don't see the point. It's not going to be perfect anyway. It is a vintage blade. But I'll come back after the polish. I have to go outside on the porch and just taking everything out and trying to set up the camera and stuff like that is not something that that I have time to do right now because, like I said, we have visitors coming. The last thing I'll do is run this one more time over the bottom of that glass before I take it out and start buffing it. So, but that's pretty much it. I'll come back and show you the finished product. I don't know if this camera will show you a difference between this and what happens to it once I finish it. But then I'll do a honing video honing this blade up. All right, God bless you. Thank you for watching, and I hope that I've helped you later on. All right, I'm back. I had to change my clothes because the polish is messy, that kind of deal. But here is the Shumate after I have completed the work. Trying to get it in the light so that you can see. I think it turned out really well. And that's, if you want to put some work in, you can restore a blade yourself. You might not, depending on how the razor comes in the beginning to you. It may not be perfect, but to be honest with you, some of these guys that are highly regarded, and they're highly regarded for a reason, they do good work. I'm not knocking that. But they're not going to go much further than what I just did for the same reason. That pitting that was on that blade is so thin that a lot of the guys are going to err on the side of stability and strength in that blade and razor geometry, and they're not going to take all of that off either. So, I mean, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. If you want to send yours out, that's good. That's a good option. Somebody that knows what they're doing. If you're not unsure of your abilities and all of that. But if you want to kind of dabble in it, pick a razor that's in fairly decent shape to start with. But pick one that wouldn't cost much if you damaged it, kind of deal. Don't do it on a razor that would be worth a couple of $100 once you got it done, or something like that when you're first starting out. But find something reasonably priced, an old Sheffield blade or an old American blade, and try your hand at it. It can be done. You can do it by yourself. You don't have to send it to somebody else. That's a beautiful blade. I'm more than happy with that. I would be happy with that if I sent that off to a restorer. So, all right, Shumate restore. In the next week or two, maybe you'll probably see a bevel setting video and perhaps a honing video all the way through. Might be 2 or 3, just depends on how long it takes to do the bevel setting. But remember, I have to put a bevel back into this blade. The bevel is gone completely. So I'll start on like a 400. I won't be starting on a 1K because I need to put a true bevel back into this. I'm not just resetting one. I'm putting a bevel back into this blade. So that's part of it too. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. God bless you. I'll talk to you later.